Good evening, I'm Dennis Ward. Welcome to APTN National News. We begin in Alberta, where the RCMP say they have linked the deaths of 4 young women in the mid-1970s to a man named Gary Sureri. He was an American serial sexual offender and killer who died in an Idaho prison in 2011.
With assistance from Interpol and the Idaho State Police Forensic Services, Sureri's DNA was confirmed as a match to the unknown male DNA profile present on all 4 of our young victims.
At the time of his death, Sureri was serving a life sentence for sexual assault. RCMP were able to use advanced genetic techniques to identify Sureri, whose name had not come up in the investigation before.
In February of 2023, with the assistance of Convergence Investigative Genetic Genealogy, the CPS Historical Homicide Team was able to develop the investigative hypothesis that Gary Sureri was the likely culprit for these homicides. Collaborating with the RCMP, the National Forensic Laboratory, we facilitated the comparison of collected suspect DNA to that of Gary Sureri and learned that the samples were a match.
And you can find much more on that story over on our website, aptnnews.ca. The federal environment minister has issued an interim order to the petrochemical industry in the Sarnia, Ontario area to reduce toxic air pollution emissions. Residents of Sarnia and the nearby Aamjiwnaut First Nation have been complaining about poor air quality for weeks. They're blaming higher than normal benzene levels coming from several petrochemical plants in the area. Benzene is linked to some forms of cancer. Environment Minister Steven Guilbeault issued the interim order on Friday. It requires the companies to implement vapor control and venting measures to reduce benzene output levels. The order is for 2 weeks, but could be extended up to 2 years, pending approval by the Governor and Council. Plans are moving ahead to build a shelter for Inuit women in southeast Ottawa. Earlier this week, Ottawa City Council approved a motion to transfer this vacant lot in a residential area to the Ottawa Aboriginal Coalition. It's to build a shelter for Inuit women and children. At a public meeting last month, area residents voiced opposition to the proposal, saying they are concerned about safety. But Jessica Bradley, the councillor for the area, supports the shelter.
Inuit women who are affected by domestic violence.
It's been 5 years in the making, and now a highly anticipated health facility in the Northwest Territories capital is set to open. Our reporter Charlotte Morton-Jacobs brings us more.
Cunti, meaning Skinny Fish Lake, is a massive retrofit of the former Territorial Hospital in Yellowknife, and it's gearing up to open this month. It will have extended housing and long-term care for residents, as well as primary care and outpatient rehabilitation services. Here's an individual room, where residents can choose to bring items for their memory box. Director of Continuing Care of the Northwest Territories Health and Social Services Authority, Lisa Raynar, says residents can bring their own furniture or use the basic furniture provided, and they are equipped with medical gases like oxygen. In total, there's 90 beds, 16 for extended care, increasing the capacity by 6 beds compared to the current unit at Stanton Territorial Hospital. The increase in beds should completely clear the wait list for extended care. A new feature, the 4 family rooms for residents from out of town who need a place to stay when visiting, and or to be used when a loved one is dying and families will cycle through.
It's things that we've heard in the past about when if people try to come to visit, they only do it when they come for medical travel, because then their accommodations and their travels kind of covered. So if we can also have some people be able to afford to come and visit family members and try and facilitate visitation as much as possible.
Cunti is complete with living and dining room areas where residents can choose what they want to eat. A spa room complete with a lift into tub and sink for washing and cutting hair. And common rooms like a spiritual room and an activity room and outdoor patio space.
As I said, extended care residents currently don't have access to outdoors, and because we're up on a second and third floor, it's not easy access, so having the patios is a huge feature. We know how important the land is, being outdoors is to our Indigenous residents, and so this was in the way that we can.
Rayner says they are implementing input from surveys across the north about the need for more country food.
If they wanted to, or if we get enough of a donation that our food service people can also prepare large quantities. It gives us something as well for the Indigenous Wellness Program that we know has worked really well at Stanton Hospital, that if I know sometimes they do caribou stew and bannock on like a Friday, and so it gives them a space that they could use that's like a commercial grade kitchen, which...
Lastly, the first floor is for public health needs, complete with a reception area, primary care units, and 36 exam rooms. Each room has a printer, scale, and height measurement tool, so staff will not have to leave the room for those tasks. It's also the first time rehabilitation services will fall under the same roof, including a physiotherapy gym, private treatment rooms, and sound booths, occupational therapy, physiotherapy, speech-language pathology, child development, and audiology. First floor services will move in this month. Early July, staff and patients from extended care will transfer over, and finally, long-term care once the wait list is processed. Charlotte Mort-Jacobs, APTN National News, Yellowknife.
It's a half-century of blood, sweat, and tears on display. Renowned Mi'kmaq artist Alan Syliboy has 50 years of work featured at a Halifax art gallery, including a snake that is over 150 feet long. Angel Moore has that story.
Aisha Mushtak and Shazia Awan came by to check out Alan Syliboy's art.
Oh yeah. That's what we've been talking about since we came, like the length especially, yeah.
Mushtak is talking about this snake that stretches across this wall. Syliboy painted it based on a petroglyph of a mythical horned snake.
The time of the Mi'kmaq, you know, we had lots of powers and magic, and I wanted to bring that magic back and the scale and everything with this large snake. And
the mural is part of an exhibit at the Dalhousie Art Gallery called Alan Syliboy, The Journey So Far, a retrospective of Syliboy's 50-year career, starting from the early 1970s.
Well, this is amazing to be here because here's your whole, it's like if someone wrote a book, but this is like in a visual. This is a visual book or a record of what I was at a particular time. They're all snapshots of different periods in my life, different ages, and where I was.
The gallery is located at the Dalhousie University Campus Art Center. Mushtak says the exhibit is a step towards reconciliation.
It's absolutely important and significant work to have it on campus, and I think it also shows university walking the talk on its commitment to inclusion and to Indigenous cultures, yes.
Syliboy's work is inspired by Mi'kmaq petroglyphs, quill work, and oral traditions. He is a leader in contemporary art, representing Mi'kmaq culture. Curator Pamela Edmonds says the exhibit is drawing record crowds.
So we've had well over 100 people in a few days. Everyone, many people that are coming in telling us about, oh, I have a drum, or I have a work of Alan's, or I used to buy his t-shirts, so there's so many people's lives that he's touched with his work.
The exhibit shows the evolution of Syliboy's art over the decades. A children's book, video, a guitar, drums, and paintings, such as this piece called Standing on the Hill, inspired from a photograph taken in Ottawa in 2017 during Canada's 150th anniversary protests. Syliboy says his grandparents, Charlie and Rachel Marshall, encouraged him to become an artist.
My whole life, that inspired me, I think, to become an artist. She would be very happy about the way my life and career has turned out. And
The snake will be painted over when the exhibit ends, but Mushtak says it should stay.
It's a good piece of art and also has that storytelling narration that the painter probably wants us to not just see but also understand and have a deep connection with. So I absolutely think that some more time with the mural will be helpful.
The exhibit is open to the public till August 11th. Angel Moore, APTN National News, Jabuktuk, also known as Halifax.
Equality, freedom, and justice for all. That's the theme for this year's International Day Against Homophobia, Biphobia, and Transphobia. More on that after the break. Welcome back. For more than a year, an Indigenous man and a committed group of volunteers in Ontario made it their mission to build the world's largest dream catcher. That's after discovering that the current Guinness World Record holder for the feat is all the way in Europe. Here's CTV's Catalina Gillies on claiming the title.
Rama First Nation resident Bob Williams has been making dream catchers since 1997. When he learned that the Guinness World Record for the largest dream catcher belonged to Lithuania, he immediately got to work.
I seen the one over in Europe, and I thought, well, that just can't happen over there in Europe. We got to have that in Rama or in Canada.
Williams, along with volunteers from the community, started crafting the dream catcher together last year. He sent his submission to Guinness World Record officials last week.
For about 6 months, it took us to get it all together, and then we had to wait a year for the ground to thaw out so they can put that tower in place.
The Dreamcatcher is 60 feet tall, 43 feet wide, and weighs over 2,000 pounds. It's made of various types of wood, 5,000 feet of sinew, and 7,000 feet of rope.
Everything was donated on that Dreamcatcher, which is great. It was a lot of money. It came to about $5,000.
Williams says he wants people of all cultures, religions, and ethnicities to enjoy the Dreamcatcher.
It's spiritual and it's traditional. It's take away, like I said, it can take away the bad spirits. And if you really got some bad thoughts, it just might help you out.
Williams believes the Dreamcatcher will help keep Rama First Nation safe, and he's thankful for the community to help him bring his dream to life.
And with the community involved that did it, there it is. Proof is right there. You got the people that back me on this, and we guys are going to have the largest Dreamcatcher in the world, and that's pretty awesome for our people.
The final piece of the Dreamcatcher will be installed in 2 weeks to complete the full shape. Williams says he expects to hear back from Guinness World Record officials at the beginning of August. Catalina Gillies, CTV News, Rama First Nation.
Well done, Bob. Today is the International Day Against Homophobia, Biphobia, and Transphobia. The day brings awareness to the discrimination, violence, and harassment of members of the 2S LGBTQ plus community and what they often face. This year's theme is No One Left Behind, equality, freedom, and justice for all. Two Spirits in Motion Society is a national organization advocating for change across all levels of government. Angelina Pereira is with the group and joins us now. Angelina, thanks so much for taking some time for us today. Can you tell us a bit about the advocacy work Two Spirits in Motion Society does to support our 2S LGBTQ2+ relatives and fight against hate?
Yes, of course. So Two Spirits in Motion Society is a registered national nonprofit society. We are the first national Two-Spirit organization, and we work tirelessly to educate and strengthen safe and supportive environments for Two-Spirit people from coast to coast to coast. So we have a few different councils. We have a youth council, elders council, and an executive directors council, and we host many events for our young relatives. And if you want some more information on what we do, you can check out our websites at twospiritsinmotion.com, twospirityouth.com, and listen to our podcast called Between Two Spirits on Spotify.
Nice. What are some of the issues that Indigenous 2S LGBTQ plus people face in our current times?
Yeah, so recently there's been a rise of groups targeting 2S LGBTQIA plus individuals, putting them at risk, especially trans and non-binary people, Indigenous, Black, and people of color. So there's been the Parents' Bill of Rights, which requires consent for children under 16 to change their pronouns or name, banning of books and limitations of trans folks participating in sports, and transphobic policies and legislation.
Yeah, when you look to Alberta, Saskatchewan, New Brunswick, they've all made or changed legislation in the past year restricting the expression of transgender and gender diverse student identity in schools. What has Two Sims heard in regards to how this is affecting youth in the country?
Yeah, so we've heard that there's there's high levels of depression and anxiety, high rates of suicide, and higher rates of substance abuse.
How can people show support to the community, not just today, but every other day?
You can show support by continuously calling out queerphobic behavior, demand change, amplify 2S LGBTQIA plus people's voices, attending rallies near you, revitalizing traditional terms for Two-Spirit people, including Two-Spirit people in advocacy.
Well, Angelina, we'll leave it there, but I thank you so much for taking some time for us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Manitowabe kicks off today in Winnipeg. We'll tell you what to expect this year after the break. Welcome back. Time now for our photo of the day. Geraldine Blake shared this amazing photo where the Arctic River and Mackenzie River meet. Thanks, Geraldine. Keep those photos coming by sending them to share@aptn.ca, and you might be our next photo of the day. Now let's take a look at tomorrow's weather forecast. Starting on the East Coast, 13 in showers for Halifax, 21 in Fredericton, 10 in Kuujjuaq, cloudy and a high of 2 for Nain. 23 with showers in Montreal, 25 in Val-d'Or, 25 for Sault Ste. Marie, showers, and 25 in North Bay. 18 with rain in Thunder Bay, showers, and 20 in Sioux Lookout. 12 with rain in God's Lake, Norway House, and Thompson. 15 with showers in Winnipeg, rain, and 13 in Dauphin. 14 with showers for Regina, 11 and rain in Saskatoon. 8 with rain in Meadow Lake, 10 with showers in La Ronge. In northern Alberta, cloudy and 11 in High Level, 9 in Fort McMurray. 11 with showers for Edmonton, 15 and rain in Lethbridge. 14 with showers for Vancouver and Victoria. 13 and rain in Prince George, 14 and sunny in Smithers. 9 in Old Crow, 16 for Whitehorse. 10 in Yellowknife, 13 in Norman Wells. +2 in Sax Harbor, 3 above for Pawlatuck. 0 in Chesterfield, 2 in Whale Cove and Arviette. -4 with snow in Resolute, 2 below, and snow in Joe Haven. The annual Manitowabe Festival kicked off in Winnipeg today, and one group traveled all the way from the land down under to be here. The Aliwa Cultural Enterprise is an Australian dance group founded by Derek Nanup Jr. Our reporter Sierra Bettens joins us now with the members from the group.
We're here at the Manitowabe Festival where the first day of celebrations have kicked off, and I'm joined here by Derek and Michael, who are from the Aliwa Enterprises, and they traveled here all the way from Australia to the festival. Derek and Michael, can you tell me a bit about your group?
Yeah, so we're the Aliwa Cultural Dancers, and Aliwa in my language means lookout, so the Lookout Dance Group. And we're a dance group from the southwest of Western Australia, particularly on the Noongar country or the Noongar Nation. Yeah.
I'm actually the didgeridoo player, traditionally known as the Yiraki. So Derek has asked me to join the group just over a few months ago, pretty much. So we're a startup, and yeah, we've been performing local to Perth, which is the west coast of Australia, for a few months now, and now we've been invited to come all the way over here.
Yeah, and tell me a bit about how you first heard about the Manitowabe Festival.
Yes, I was very blessed and honoured to be invited over here last year, and that was real eye-opening, and I think it's really important for us to create an Indigenous alliance, you know, a global Indigenous alliance, and it kind of bridged that connection, and a lot of teachings between our two peoples last year, and we came over initially for like Indigenous ways for suicide prevention and social and emotional well-being, and learned so much from the mob over here. Lucky enough to be invited back to share our culture, and I'm going to share a lot of our dances this year and songs. Yeah.
Yeah, just pretty much supporting what Derek says. I did not attend last year, but been happy to join Derek to join him in this experience this year.
Awesome. Yeah, and I understand that you fundraised it yourself to come here. How did you kind of go about doing that?
Yeah, so I'm very lucky and blessed to have a strong community back home. The Indigenous community, I'm sure it's the same here. Everyone knows everyone and everyone's down for the cause. So yeah, very blessed to have such a strong supportive community that have helped us get over to Manitowabe this year. But yeah, I was so excited to get back, and yeah, just made it happen. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we were just trying to reach out to our own community a lot. Derek is a really well-known dancer in our city, so yeah, a lot of people reached out to him to support him and support our group into coming over.
Yeah, and what do you think is the value in having this space to have this cultural exchange between Indigenous peoples from different parts of the world?
Yeah, as I mentioned, creating that global Indigenous alliance is really important, especially nowadays. A lot of our people are looking at decolonising ways because the ways of now aren't working for our people, and we see that with negative statistics and even stereotypes, and it's like they do not reflect our people and our communities whatsoever. So I think working with one another is really important to create, a better future, really. And as I said, the old ways are the new ways.
Yeah, just supporting what Derek said. I think that seeing and experiencing different cultures would only strengthen our own knowledge on how to move forward. Looking at the past, looking at the past to build a better and brighter future.
Yeah, and what kinds of things are you looking forward to during this festival?
I think just listening, I'll take wisdom from anywhere, any place and space, and with the community here, from what I noticed last year, there's so much knowledge and wisdom that I can take back to my communities, to uplift and empower, in particular our young people, but also ways of listening and, co-collaborating and working with our elders, which I think you mob do amazing here. But I'm looking forward to the dances, and hearing that the drum, it's the best thing ever. I love the drum and the singing, just the vocals, the dance, all of it, yeah. Bless.
Yeah, probably the dancing and the music. Being a didgeridoo player myself, I love the music side of things. So I'm pretty open to learning as well, and I guess learning what are the differences between our cultures, but also trying to find what are the similarities as well. So I think just the whole experience in general, and whatever comes my way, I'll be hopefully happy to take in.
Awesome. Yeah, well, thanks so much for chatting, Derek and Michael. And yeah, the Manitoba Festival is all weekend, so if you're in town, be sure to come down. Thanks, back to you.
Thanks, Sierra. Michael and Derek, looks like there's quite a crowd already out there. Lots going on at Manitoba. If you're in Winnipeg and heading out tomorrow, I may maybe see you there. Indian Horse Relay will be a big draw on Monday. That's all the time we have for your APTN National News for this Friday. I'm Dennis Ward. Marcy McGuitch, thanks for being with us. Have a great night.